3 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for our English News Bulletin. I'm Aisy Rabia, and I have all the pleasure to be working with my dear colleague Mirna Al-Ghaznawi. Good afternoon to you, Mirna.
Good afternoon, Mahisi, and good afternoon, dear viewers. And we start with our news bulletin with the headlines. President Sisi chairs follow-up meeting of the upgraded educational system. And Foreign Minister Abdel Aati meets the Tunisian counterpart on bilateral ties and regional developments. At least 20 Palestinians killed in Israeli occupation strikes across Gaza as world witnesses a somber Christmas.
Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi today urged the comprehensive upgrade of the educational process in Egypt, including promoting the skills of students and teachers, as well as boosting the digital transformation drive. The president made the directives in a meeting with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Education and Vocational Training Mohammed Abdel Latif. President al-Sisi was briefed on the procedures taken by the government to overcome the challenges facing the development of education, whether a notable increase in the number of classes, solutions to the shortages of teachers, or the inclusion of electronic components in the educational process.
Minister of Foreign Migration and Egyptian Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdel Aati meets today Tunisian Minister of Foreign Affairs Mohammed Ali Nafti on enhancing bilateral ties, along with a set of regional and international issues of mutual concern. The two top diplomats are due to address a joint press conference on the outcome of their talks.
Israeli occupation bombardment continued in sporadic places of the Gaza Strip, and medics said at least 9 Palestinians in Khan Yunis, southern of the Strip, while 4 others were killed in a bombing in central Gaza. Elsewhere, an Israeli occupation airstrike killed 6 people in Jabalia in northern Gaza Strip, bringing the day's death toll to 20 people. By mediators, Egypt, Qatar and the United States to end the war has gained momentum this month, though no breakthrough has been yet reported.
The UN Humanitarian Office said the recent attacks on hospitals in North Gaza, where the Israeli occupation is carrying out an offensive, are having a devastating impact on Palestinian civilians still in the area. The UN office expressed deep concern at reports that the Israeli occupation military entered the Indonesian hospital, forcing its evacuation. The humanitarian office also said it was gravely concerned about recent attacks in and around the 2 other hospitals in North Gaza.
The Israeli occupation forces killed at least 8 Palestinians in dawn raids on a refugee camp near the city of Tulkarm in the West Bank. The Israeli occupation military also claimed the shelling of Nur Shams refugee camp and the arrest of 18 other Palestinians in the area. At least 800 Palestinians have been killed in occupation forces and illegal settler attacks in the West Bank along the eruption of Gaza genocide war on the 7th of October. Elsewhere in the occupied West Bank, the Palestinian city of Bethlehem was marking a second somber Christmas Eve under the shadow of the Gaza war, with most festivities cancelled and crowds of tourists absent.
Israeli occupation forces have advanced into Syria's Quneitra province, carrying out a violent raid under the pretext of searching for weapons and Hezbollah fighters. Israeli occupation bulldozers also demolished a number of houses in 2 districts of the province, uprooting trees and lavering land hours after the occupation military set out military posts in the province's southern villages nearby a strategic dam in the area. The Israeli occupation moves come amid a wider invasion of up to 7 kilometers of the buffer zone between Syria and the occupied Golan Heights.
Yemen's Houthi group said today that it had fired a ballistic missile at Tel Aviv, with the Israeli occupation forces saying they intercepted the attack. The Houthis have repeatedly launched missiles at the Israeli side in solidarity with the Palestinians since the start of the occupation forces' genocide war on Gaza more than a year ago. In an earlier attack by the Houthis, 16 people were wounded, prompting a warning from Prime Minister of the Occupation Authority Benjamin Netanyahu.
And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said today that Russian attack his country's energy system and some cities with cruise and ballistic missile plus drones this morning in an inhumane Christmas Day assault. Nearly 3 years into the war, the strikes wounded at least 6 people in the northeastern city of Kharkiv. 500,000 people in Kharkiv region were left without heating in temperatures just a few degrees Celsius above zero, while there were blackouts in the capital, Kiev, and elsewhere.
Also today, Russia's defense ministry said that its forces had shot down 59 Ukrainian drones overnight, while the Ukrainian Air Force reported the launch of a Caliber cruise missile from the Black Sea. Russia has accelerated its advance across eastern Ukraine in recent months, looking to secure as much territory as possible before U.S. President-elect Donald Trump comes to power in January. Moscow's army claims to have seized more than 190 Ukrainian settlements this year, with Kiev struggling to hold the line in the face of the manpower and ammunition shortages.
South Korea's suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol refused a summons to appear for questioning on Christmas Day, the second time he has defied investigators' demand in a week. The South Korean leader was stripped of his duties by Parliament on December 14th, following a short-lived martial law declaration that plunged the country into its worst political crisis in decades. He faces impeachment and criminal charges of insurrection, which could result in life imprisonment or even the death penalty.
An Azerbaijan Airlines passenger jet with 67 people on board crashed today in western Kazakhstan after veering from its scheduled route. Kazakh authorities said 28 people had survived the crash of the Embraer 190. The plane was flying from the Azerbaijani capital Baku on the western shore of the Caspian to the city of Grozny in Chechnya in southern Russia. Kazakhstan said it had opened an investigation into the crash.
And Egypt witnesses a number of overnight masses in celebration of Christmas along the Western calendar. On behalf of Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, the Cairo governor Ibrahim Sabir attended a Christmas mass held by the Armenian Apostolic Church at the Basilica of Saint Thérèse of the Child Jesus in Heliopolis. The governor wished a happy feast for all Egyptian Copts. Mass was organized for Coptic Catholics of St. Anthony the Great Cathedral. A mass was also held at the Church of the Blessed Virgin Mary of Syrian Orthodox.
Christians across the world celebrated Christmas today with the mood darkened by the wars and a massive inhumane Christmas morning attack on Ukraine by Russia, as well as a plane crash in Kazakhstan.
With the Israeli genocide war on Gaza also showing no signs of ending, Pope Francis used his Christmas Eve Mass at the Vatican to call for peace and urge Christians to think of the wars of the machine-gunned children of the bombs on schools or hospitals after another year of raging conflicts. More details on this report.
Christmas revelers around the world in red and white Santa hats offered meals to the homeless and lit candles on Wednesday. This as Pope Francis launched observation of the Christmas holiday with a somber mass in the Vatican. At St. Peter's Basilica, Francis used his Christmas Eve Mass to urge Christians to think of the wars, of the machine-gunned children, of the bombs on schools or hospitals, as this year's Christmas once again takes place under the shadow of Israel's genocide war on Gaza and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. His remarks come just days after he denounced the cruelty of Israel's occupation strikes. Francis is due to deliver his traditional Christmas Day blessing to the city and the world at midday on Wednesday, while in the biblical birthplace of Jesus, the Israeli-occupied West Bank city of Beit Lahm, observations of the holiday have been muted. For the second year in a row, Beit Lahm has done away with its giant Christmas tree and the elaborate decorations that normally draw throngs of tourists, setting for just a few festive lights.
Economic news, expert-level meetings for the 7th session of the Egyptian-Uzbek Joint Committee for Economic, Scientific and Technical Cooperation took part in Uzbekistan capital Tashkent. Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Mashat, and Uzbek Minister of Investment, Industry and Trade co-chaired the meetings. Al-Mashat said that holding the 7th round of the Joint Committee reflects the deep ties between the two countries and came after the historic visit by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to Uzbekistan in 2018, which paved the way for enhancing bilateral ties in various fields.
And Egypt's bourse edged higher today amid purchases by foreign investors against sell-offs by local and Arab investors. The market capital of listed companies reached 2.1 trillion Egyptian pounds amid transactions of 34.3 billion pounds. The benchmark index EGX 30 rose 0.33%. The equal-weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 climbed 0.83% and 0.75% respectively.
And to the world of sports, the Zamalek football team was unable to secure a victory for the second match under new Swiss coach as the
Former Chelsea midfielder Oscar will return to his former club, São Paulo of Brazil, on a 3-year contract. Oscar, who made 48 appearances for Brazil's national team between 2011 and 2016, spent the last 8 seasons with the Shanghai Port, winning the Chinese Super League title 3 times. He scored 38 goals in 203 appearances for Chelsea and lifted the Premier League, League Cup and Europa League trophies during his 4.5-year spell. He began his professional career at São Paulo in 2008 and joined Internacional in 2010, a move that led to a lengthy contract dispute between the two Brazilian clubs.
Well, our dear viewers, that would bring us to the end of our news bulletin. You're in the company of myself, Maïsi Rabia, and I had all the pleasure to be working with my dear colleague, Myrna Al-Ghaznawi. Thank you so much, Myrna.
Thank you, Maïsi, and thank you, dear viewers.